El Salvador was once one of the most dangerous countries in the world, long shrouded in the shadow of drugs, gang violence, and shootings. In 2015, its homicide rate even ranked first globally, which was shocking. In 2022, multiple gang-related violent incidents occurred in El Salvador, resulting in a large number of civilian deaths. Facing the severe security situation, the Salvadoran government declared a state of emergency on March 27, 2022. For a period of 30 days, street gang forces were cleared out in one sweep, and at an astonishing speed, El Salvador shed its label as one of the most dangerous countries and transformed into a new travel destination in Central America, favored by young people. Behind this reversal was the iron-fisted leadership of a post-91 president, Bukele, who implemented a series of tough measures. As of 2023, more than 72,000 gang members have been arrested, causing prisons nationwide to become severely overcrowded. For this reason, El Salvador put into use the world's largest prison, the Seco prison, which can hold 40,000 inmates and operates under militarized management with extremely restrictive conditions. Prisoners there must sleep on bare metal beds without mattresses, pillows, or blankets, with bright lights kept on 24 hours a day, forcing them to sleep under harsh lighting. They are confined for up to 23.5 hours daily and allowed only 30 minutes of collective activity. Although human rights organizations have criticized the harsh prison conditions and the existence of indiscriminate arrests, arguing that some innocent people have been implicated, the results have been immediate. El Salvador's national homicide rate has dropped sharply from 109 per 100,000 people in 2015 to a much lower level in 2023 to fewer than 2 per 100,000 people, making it one of the safest countries in Latin America. El Salvador also has a unique phenomenon, with more than one-third of its population, about 2 million people, living abroad, especially in the United States. Remittances have instead become a major source of El Salvador's GDP, accounting for more than one quarter. Football is the most popular sport in El Salvador, and the country has reached the FIFA World Cup finals twice. Corn and beans are staple foods in the Salvadoran diet, and its cuisine is rich and diverse, including dishes made with coconut milk, minced beef and pork, white beans, fruits, and stewed chicken. Salvadorans also enjoy grilled meat and drinking mate tea. In addition, in September 2021, El Salvador became the first country in the world to legalize Bitcoin, cleverly converting volcanic geothermal energy into a power source for cryptocurrency mining by building geothermal power plants at the foot of volcanoes. These power plants not only supply electricity for civilian use, but also directly power Bitcoin mining machines. However, on January 30th, 2025, El Salvador abandoned the adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender. So what kind of country is El Salvador? The Republic of El Salvador, commonly referred to as El Salvador, is located in northern Central America, bordered by Honduras to the northeast, adjacent to the Gulf of Fonseca to the east, facing the Pacific Ocean to the west, and neighboring Guatemala to the northwest. It is the only country in Central America without a Caribbean coastline. Yet it possesses more than 300 kilometers of Pacific coastline with exceptionally beautiful coastal scenery, making it a paradise for surfing enthusiasts. El Salvador is the smallest country in Central America, but also the most densely populated, with an area of only 21,000 square kilometers and a total population of 6.486 million as of 2023, and it is also one of the youngest countries in the world. Half of the country's population is under the age of 30. People of mixed European and indigenous descent make up the majority, with the rest being indigenous people and whites. More than 83% of residents are Roman Catholic, and about 15% are Protestants. Spanish is the official language. The capital, San Salvador, is situated in a valley surrounded by volcanoes and facing the Pacific Ocean, making it a typical Central American city that combines natural barriers with development potential. The city covers an area of about 72.25 square kilometers and has a population of approximately 695,000, serving as the nation's economic, cultural, transportation, and political center. Across its gently rolling terrain, one side features towering modern buildings and luxury shopping malls, while the other side consists of slums and impoverished areas, as if reality and aspiration are colliding intensely here. San Salvador possesses rich historical and cultural heritage and a distinctive artistic style, representing an important symbol of Salvadoran culture. Famous attractions include Revolution Square, Libertad Park, La Laguna Botanical Garden, and the monument to the Divine Savior of the world, attracting large numbers of domestic and international tourists came here for sightseeing and tourism. In terms of the economy, in 2023, El Salvador's GDP was approximately 32 billion US dollars, with a GDP per capita of around 5,000 US dollars. Among Latin American countries, it ranks in the lower middle range, but its growth rate should not be underestimated. In the past 2 years, the annual growth rate has been close to 3% to 4%. Among them, the digital economy, as well as the telecommunications and tourism industries, have grown particularly rapidly. The economy is mainly based on agriculture, with a relatively weak industrial foundation. Agriculture, industry, and services are the three main pillars of the national economy. In agriculture, the main crops include coffee, corn, beans, and cotton. Coffee is one of El Salvador's most important cash crops, with exports ranking among the top in the world. In addition, the country also produces large quantities of bananas, sugarcane, cocoa, and tobacco, which are typical tropical crops. In terms of industry, sectors such as textiles, food processing, and pharmaceuticals have developed rapidly. With economic development and the acceleration of urbanization, the service sector has gradually become an important driving force for El Salvador's economic growth. Tourism is an important part of the service sector, attracting a large number of domestic and international visitors for sightseeing and travel. El Salvador's terrain is mainly composed of mountains and plateaus, with numerous volcanoes, earning it the nickname the Land of Volcanoes. The Santa Ana volcano in the central region, with an elevation of 2,385 meters, is the highest peak in the country. The southern part has a narrow coastal plain, while the northern region consists of the Lempa River Valley. El Salvador has a tropical climate with relatively high average annual temperatures, usually ranging between 23 degrees Celsius and 29 degrees Celsius. Rainfall is unevenly distributed, with distinct dry and rainy seasons. El Salvador is rich in natural resources, including gold, silver, other mineral resources, and valuable geothermal resources. In addition, the country's forest coverage rate is about 13.9%. El Salvador provides 9 years of compulsory education, but the high school dropout rate still exceeds 30%. There is only one public university in the country, the University of El Salvador. In terms of healthcare, the government is working to promote a universal healthcare system, but medical resources remain unevenly distributed, with urban areas far better than rural areas. About 40% of the population lives below the poverty line. Although there have been improvements compared to 10 years ago, it still remains a heavy burden weighing on the country. El Salvador was originally inhabited by indigenous peoples, including the Maya. Before the arrival of Spanish colonizers, the region was home to the Pipil, Lenca, and Maya peoples, who mainly engaged in fishing, hunting, and agriculture, living relatively primitive tribal lives. Starting from 1524, Spanish colonizers gradually conquered the region, and in 1527, it was incorporated into the jurisdiction of the Captaincy General of Guatemala. The Spanish implemented the encomienda system, subjecting the indigenous population to harsh exploitation. By the end of the 18th century, with population growth and agricultural development, the colonizers further intensified their political oppression and economic exploitation of El Salvador. In order to resist Spanish rule, uprisings broke out in 1811 and 1814, led by priest José Matías Delgado and Manuel José Arce. The uprisings against Spanish rule were influenced by the Latin American independence movements. On September 15, 1821, El Salvador officially declared its independence from Spain. After that, in 1823, El Salvador joined the Federal Republic of Central America, but the federation dissolved in 1838. In 1840, conservative leader Francisco Malaspín established a military regime, and on February 18, 1841, a constitution was promulgated, officially naming the country the Republic of El Salvador. On February 15, 1845, Joaquin Eufrasio Guzman succeeded as president of El Salvador. From the second half of the 19th century to the early 20th century, El Salvador experienced multiple changes of government and political instability, including numerous military coups. In 1980, a civil war officially broke out in El Salvador, with the two opposing sides being the US-backed government and the Cuban-supported Farabundo Martí National Liberation Front. On January 16, 1992, the Farabundo Martí National Liberation Front and the government signed a peace agreement, bringing an end to El Salvador's 12-year civil war. After the war, El Salvador began focusing on national reconstruction and economic development. This is El Salvador, a country that has gone through many hardships, full of challenges, yet never ceasing to strive forward. It was once deeply trapped in violence and crisis, even known as one of the most dangerous countries in the world. But today, it is transforming at an astonishing pace, shedding its past labels and becoming an emerging tourist destination in Central America. So, what else do you know about El Salvador? Or have you ever had any unforgettable experiences there? Feel free to share in the comments. Thank you for watching today's Global Geography. If you enjoyed our content, please don't forget to like and follow. See you in the next video.